Hello everyone, welcome to Style by Taiwo, and in this video you'll be learning how to make this beautiful Ankara dress with a Basque waistline and also a shoulder drawstring. So if you've checked past styles for this dress, while I was trying to make mine, I saw that there were different types of neckline, the one with the overlap and also the one with the V neckline. So I'll be explaining how to go about both. So each one you would want to go with you can choose from there. So if you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a beautiful comment. Thank you for stopping. Let's dive in. Okay, so for this dress, I used about 4 years of Ankara fabric, but because of my gather we are full, but you can use 3 years. Then you need an stay, pencils, and black lining, also about half year just for the back part. So after this, I've gone ahead to mark out my vertical measurement, my bust point, under bust, half length, and also my hip line. And also for the hip line here, I used 7 because it was short, but you could actually still use 8. So from the upper part, I also marked about 1 inches from the top point because of the drawstring rope. So the next thing I want to do now is to mark out my neck width, and for my neck width I'll be using 3 inches. And also go ahead to mark out my shoulder length of 7.5 inches. So I made a mistake marking from the neck width, which is also fine because of is going to be a rope there. So from your chest line that your actual chest line you mark, you can add about 8 inches, 10 inches, or 12 inches, or 15 inches, depending on how wide you want. Depending on how full you want the drawstring to be, because I wanted mine to be full. So that's why I added 12 inches. So from there I came down by 1 inches, and you want to go ahead to connect this to your neck line. Neck width and the next thing I'll just want to do now is to measure from my center front to this line where I marked for my shoulder distance, and I'm just going to measure from there to my center front and get the full width and go ahead and mark it. So this will be acting as my full width for this dress. So the next thing I just want to do now is to go ahead to connect this to my bust point. So I used my bust point for my chest line, and if you don't want yours too open, you could actually mark your actual chest line from the 1 inches point down. So the next thing you want to do now is to mark out so just go ahead to connect this line down to the underbust. If you are using your actual chest line, you should mark this down from your chest line to the underbust. And I want to go in from the underbust by, you could go do 2 inches, 2.5 or 3. So I'll be doing 2 inches. So 2 inches or 3.5, and the next thing I want to give is the armhole effect, going ahead to connect it to my bust point. So if you're using your chest line, you connect this to your chest line. Okay, so this is going to serve as our upper part, and from the under bust down is going to serve as our lower part, which is also the back part. So the next thing you want to do now is to measure your round measurement. So for my under bust, I'm going to go ahead to divide my under bust measurement by 4, and whatever I have, I'm going to mark it here. And for my waist measurement, I'm also going to go ahead to divide it by 4 and actually add about 1 inches for sewing allowance also at the waist part. So I did not do that for the underbust because I wanted it to be a bit tight on me. Then for the hip line, I did my hip measurement divided by 4, and I added half inches, and I would just want to go ahead to connect these lines together. So in case my round measurements were confusing to you, so what you could actually do, you could actually, for your round measurement for the round underbust, you could actually mark what you have, your round underbust divided by 4 and minus half inches if you want yours to be a bit tight, like if you want some tightening. And you could also do same for the waist part, or you use your actual measurement. So right here I've gone ahead to mark my down part, which is the back part, and the upper part. So I just want to go ahead to cut out the down part out, and we're going to come back to that. So for this down part, it depends on how long you want your backs to be. You might not actually use your hip line, you can actually come up, depends on how long you want it to be. So for this upper part now, what I'm going to do next, the only thing left now is for our neck measurement. So for the neck length, I'm just going to use my bust point, but you could actually still go ahead to mark out where you want your neck width to be. So for your neck length to be where you want it to stop, for me I'll be using my bust point. So I marked this to my neck width, and for the back, you can actually still maintain this your bust point, or you come down from there by 1.5 inches, or you measure on your back where you want it to be. So it's actually dependent on you if you don't want your back to be too open. So after this, I'll just also go ahead also to cut out my front, the upper part out, which is as you see me done. Sorry, which is as you see me do here. So I just want to go ahead to cut them out. And the next thing I'm doing now is to add about 1 inches to the upper part. So I added about 1 inches, and I'm gonna have to use my marker to connect this line. So I'll advise you do 1.5 inches, and no fear if you've gotten to this point and with your 1 inches. So what you're just going to do is that while cutting out to the fabric, you add extra 1 inches to that top part, so that what you have for the shoulder allowance is 1.5 inches. So at this point, the next thing I just want to do now is to cut out my neckline. And take note, in as much as we mark the neckline for the front and the back together, I will just want to go ahead to cut out the neckline for the front first, and after doing that, after cutting to fabric, then I'll go ahead to cut out the neckline for the back, and also go ahead to cut it out to the fabric. So this is what I've done now, cut it out. And the next thing is to transfer to my fabric, and I'm just going to go ahead to add about 1/2 inches round. So right here, this is the front part, so this part is for the V neckline. So I've gone ahead to mark out about 1/2 inches round, and go ahead to also cut out my front neckline. So that is that for the V part. So the next one we're going to be talking about now is the overlap. So for this overlapping, what you just want to take note is that when cutting out, you're just going to go ahead to add about 3 inches, which is going to serve 3 inches extra allowance at the front. And what the 3 inches allowance is going to do is that it's going to serve for your overlapping. So you just want to go ahead and place it just like this with the 3 inches extra allowance. They should overlap on the extra allowance. Either you choose 3 inches, 2 inches, or 4 inches. But I think the best you could work with is 3 inches. And after overlapping like this, you just want to go ahead and sew on top and proceed for the next step from here. So that is that for the overlapping. Okay, now so let us complete this Basque waistline. So this Basque waistline, the next thing I just want to do now is to do the curving. So the curving is based on choice on how you want yours to be. For me, I was just trying to check which one I'll go for. I ended up going with 2.5 from the waistline down. And the reason why I chose 2.5 was because I really wanted it to slant very well. So it depends on choice. If you want yours to slant well, you could actually do 2.5 or 3 inches and connect down to the hip. Or if you want yours to be curved or in either ways, or you don't want yours to show well, you could still come down by 4 to 5 inches and connect it to the hip. So either ways you want yours to be, you could choose. And so for me, I did 2.5 inches and connected to the hip line, and that is that for my Basque waistline. So this is my back part, and I've also gone ahead to cut out. So I left 1/2 inches for the up part, 1/2 inches at the neckline, and for this part I left 1 inches for our zip allowance, and this other part I left 1/2 inches. So I just did 1/2 inches round, and this is the backs. Right, so this backs is actually for the front. So I just went ahead to add about 1/2 inches round. So the next thing we are going to do now is for the back. And the back is going to be exactly like the front. The only difference from the back and the front is that for the center back, we will be adding about 1 inches for zipper allowance. So at the waist point, I want to go ahead to extend out and mark 1/2 inches in. And then I'll just go ahead to connect these to the up and the hip part, and also go ahead to connect these to my upper, just as you can see me do. And the next thing you just want to do is to cut out. So this will help prevent zipper bulge at the back. So this is this for the back. So at this point we are done cutting, and this is what our backs is going to look like. This is for the back. So the back is looking like this just because of the slant, the center back. So the next thing we want to do now is to go ahead to cut out facing for the up part for both the front and the back. So for your facing width, you could do 1.5 to 2 inches. And what you want to do is to place it just as I have done here for the front. But before doing this, what you also want to do is to go ahead to fold your facing round before sewing it here. So this is for the back facing. You go ahead to fold it round, double fold it, and then sew to your dress. So that is that for the facing. So the next thing we're going to do is to gum our cloth gum or stay to your back waistline and go ahead also to cut out the lining for it. I've done that for mine. I went ahead to gum my stay to my backs and just for a good effect. And you just want to go ahead and place sew the up part to the down part. So just as I'm going to show you here, this is how you're going to do it. So we are going to get, first of all, get the midpoint of our back waistline and also go ahead to get the midpoint of our up part and gather it to the down part. So you'll be repeating the same process for both the back. So you just go ahead, get the midpoint, gather. So this reason for getting the midpoint, so the gather can be even on both sides. So you just go ahead to gather and do this for both the front and the back. So after sewing these gathers now, you should be seeing the effect little by little. So what you want to do is to sew our lining. So don't forget, we only have lining for the back waistline. So I'll be showing you how to go about that. So you just want to go ahead and place your lining just like this. So what this lining is going to do is it's going to serve as a turnover, so to cover the up part. So you might need your office pin at this point. So you go ahead to place your lining, sew at that up point and turn over just as you can see. And then after turning over, you just want to go ahead to top stitch on all sides. So that other side will actually be needing weaving. So you're going to repeat the same process for both the front and the back. So for the back, I've already gone ahead to do same for my back. So you'll be noticing that after doing this, your up part is going to look very neat. So the next thing we want to do now is our shoulder. So for the shoulder, you want to go ahead to mark out the 1.5 inches or whatever allowance you gave for your shoulder. So you go ahead and mark it round and sew to your sewing machine. So that's what I just want to do now. So I'm just going to go ahead now to mark what I have round. So for me, I was using 1 inch, so I marked 1 inch round, and this 1 inch is going to serve as our rope for this part. What I meant was hole for where our drawstring rope was going to pass through. So after closing this, the next thing we want to do now is to close our arm hole side. So you just go ahead to fold that in and also go ahead now to open this part and double fold it just as you see me do here. So this is going to serve as the hole where our rope is going to pass through. So I would just like to say that before closing the armhole, you should close it before joining the shoulder to both sides. So after doing that, I had to lose because of the mistake I did. So after doing that, you just want to go ahead to close your side by 1/2 inches, and you're going to do this for both sides. And the next thing we're going to move on to now is to add our drawstring rope. So for the drawstring rope, you will need about 4 ropes. So 2 for each side and 2 for the other side. And I've gone ahead to cut mine out and so you just want to, from that top part, use an office pin to connect it from here out to the other part, and also top stitch the neck part after doing that for both sides. So your drawstring rope could be 30 to 35 inches, or if you want yours to be longer, you know how long you want it to be and you go out and mark it. So what I want to do now is to measure my round waistline, and whatever I have, I'll be doing 3 times of it. So this is just going to serve as my gather. So I'll be doing 3 times of it for the gather. I'll be cutting this out to my material. And again, this next part that I want to do, if your back is not that deep, you might want to skip it, or you might still want to do it. So because of mine is deep, I do not want the gathers to be looking up and down. So I would just want to use my straight ruler here and note the part from where how deep my back waistline is and take note of it. And I'm also going to do the same for the back, and I'm going to go ahead, get my gathers, and I'll just want to go ahead to do this and cut it down there so that my gathers can fit evenly. So this is my gathers, that what I have for my gathers, and I've gone ahead to cut. Like I said, I'll be doing 3 inches wide of more, or 3 inches more, sorry, 3x more of what I have for my round waist. So for, because of how deep this is, I'm just going to go ahead, place this just like this here, mark it out. So this is for the midpoint, for this, for the front, I mean. So I'll just want to go ahead, as I mark that, as I'm going to cut it out, and I'll be repeating same for the back. And for my back, I did not bother to do this and mark it out. I just went ahead to place this just as you see me do here, and use my scissors to cut it out. So after this, what I would just want to do now is go ahead to gather round. So I'm done cutting these, and I just want to go ahead to place these. So on a second thought, so that you don't get to miss the part where you cut for the front, so you can actually use your office pin to hold the front part, or you divide this your gathers into 4 different places and notch 4 equal places actually, and go ahead to notch it on these 4 parts so that you could gather it evenly. So that is that, and this is what our dress looks like. So you would actually want to go ahead to add your zip. So thank you for watching.